All right, welcome to Smokey Approved Career. I'm your boy Jurnalist, and on this one, this was given to me in the comment sections. Somebody, it was like musical, like bait to my brain. They said that there's a video of the writing styles of BTS. I believe the channel's called Manga, but they've tried to tell me about it before. YouTube's being a hater, wouldn't let them link me, so I went and found it myself. This is the video. However, it's an hour long, and my internet is kind of slow. So we're going to break this up into parts so we can get this into the ecosystem much faster. So this might be like 20-minute chunks 4 times or however many times I figure out how I want to do it. I don't know. But we're going to break it up into chunks so we can get this out to you guys. Thank you guys for joining me. If you could, please hit that like, subscribe. Patreon's in the description. And if you'd like to help the boy with his new song coming out, it's in the description. There's a pre-save link. That's all I'm going to say about it. Let's get into it.
Okay, so I'm so excited. Before we begin, I will be referring to BTS's company.
No, this looks like shite. I need to restart the page. Restart the page.
Okay, so I'm so excited. Before we begin, I will be referring to BTS's company as Big Hit Entertainment because I don't like change and I'd rather just stay bitter. So
what is this?
That's that. I understand that BTS's music is incredibly
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Now that looks right.
meaningful to the members and incredibly meaningful to the fans. And last time when we talked about Twice, there was so much positive, awesome, like really respectful discussion about the music, but it is the internet. And last time there were just a few people who got upset at any interpretation of the lyrics that didn't match their own, and as such they would lash out at people in the comments. With BTS, because their music is so important to so many people, I think those feelings of attachment and personal connection can be really heightened. If you do want to watch the video and participate in the conversation, I just ask that you treat other people's connection to the lyrics with respect, even if it differs from yours. I prioritize songs that are written either solely by a member or songs where that member is credited as a head writer. Since Big Hit does list credits in order, thank you, Big Hit, I am using several different translation sites. I did some dog digging on the internet. I went through blogs and fan sites and Korean translation sites, album listings, interviews, K-Army annotations, and any other translation source I could find. There is a margin of error. Not all translations are going to be 102% accurate, and this video is not meant to be a complete analysis of all the nuances in Korean vernacular, all the cultural references, or how these might be digested by a native-speaking audience. If you're here, it's likely because you're already familiar with BTS's music, but for those of you who aren't, here's a quick content warning for descriptions of suicidal mentalities, depression, dissociation.
We got to stop this. We got to stop this shit. It is already been proven that fucking trigger warnings actually trigger people more and cause more issues. Fuck that shit. That shit is stupid. She was doing so well. I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry, I'm skipping this. Don't give me no fucking trigger warning. Teach me about the songs.
2 major volumes. The rap line consisting of RM, Suga, and J-Hope, and the vocal line consisting of Jin, Jimin, V, and Jungkook. Timestamps for all chapters are in the description below. Last time, we approached writing styles with the very simple pillar theory that splits poetry and lyrics into 2 types, style and form, and believes that a developed writer will be well-versed in both. Style, or art, examines lyrics in a literary sense. This means things like figurative language, metaphor, imagery, sensory descriptions, themes and characters, modal writing, powerless or empowered narratives, and narrative modes. Narrative modes can be things like stream of consciousness, oral storytelling, and perspective writing. Style also comprises aesthetic judgment, individual artistic approach, emotional depth, and the personal touch that each writer brings to a song's lyrics. Form is the technique, and it examines lyrics in a sonic sense. Form is the efficiency by which lyrics are written compatibly to a song's composition and arrangement, the specificity with which certain sounds, words, or syllables are chosen to create rhythm, rhyme, pattern, and poetic subtext through sound. Just to sum all that up, form uses the sound of poetry to create meaning, style uses the imagery and content of poetry to create meaning. Today, I wanted to expand that discussion of writing styles a bit more. The key themes of this video are internalized and externalized writing, narrative modes, impersonal writing, and narrative arcs. Subtext is going to play a bigger role in this video than the last, and we're going to take a look at some writers who've really mastered both style and form. When it comes to BTS, I personally see RM and Suga as the most developed writers in the group.
I know she said personally, but that's a slight little bit of shade thrown at my nigga J-Hope, because I'm like, especially when I first started listening to them niggas. I was like, is he as developed? And I feel like his development is, I'd put him on par with at least Sugar. I'm not going to say on par with RM, but I feel like they're close.
RM is BTS's main rapper and has been writing his own music long before he became a member of BTS. The Korean Music Copyright Association credits over 160 songs to him as both a songwriter and a composer. In 2020, he was promoted to a full member of the KOMCA. He has 2 solo mixtapes, RM from 2015 and Mono from 2018. I would peg Namjoon as a mentality writer. He has a crazy sense of introspection and his writing is hugely interrogative and cerebral. From RM to Mono, we're going to see Namjoon's agility in both style and form according to his message or his tone. To start off with a bit of familiarity, Namjoon is very developed in both style and form. He's known for his wordplay and his use of double meanings and homonyms. A popular one would be this line in Voice off his debut mixtape.
난 꿈이 없었지 내 가사처럼 맨날 그런 shit 내게 답을 주지 못했던 함수와 방정식 그것들은 결국 수많은 해가 되었네 그 빛으로 뒤에 숨은 별을 볼 수 없게 해.
Multiple translators have credited different meanings to the word he, which can mean value, injury, years, or the sun. Muish points out that there are at least 4 possible meanings to this line. Wordplay is often not meant to be tapered down to one correct definition. It's meant to span multiple meanings. Poetry is about the manipulation and subjectivity of sound, giving a line a dozen meanings by using a word or sound that has a dozen denotations. Since RM is fluent in more than one language, he gets to play with repeated sounds in other languages, and even the sounds shared across language. RM loves picking at sound, using the limitation of language to add more meaning to a line or passage. Namjoon has an incredibly introspective writing style. His work is all about identity, growth, and society. Namjoon's writing often dissects internal motivations, behaviors, beliefs, and pits them against the outside world. Where do identity and society intersect? He uses rap as a form of poetry to interrogate the 2 extremes, micro, the extremely internal self, and macro, the total arc of society, and how the 2 fit together or don't. His poetry is a combination of narrative writing and analytical writing. Here, the macro, the outside world, bullshitters writing self-help books to further a broken system, gradually shifts towards the micro, the impact of that outside world on your own motivations, hobbies, dreams, and identity. His first mixtape is mostly about form poetry. RM cares more about narrative sound, flow, and rhythm than about painting a pretty picture with words. Since this mixtape is very hip-hop centric, a lot of his words are there to serve as his flow, as opposed to each having their own imagery.
That was a banger though. That was a banger. When I heard that one, I did like this one. I feel like what Shorty's doing also, the way that she is contextualizing the writing styles, especially of RM right now, and how I feel like the rest of this video is going to flow for her. She's got such a, what is the right word for this? What is it? She's got such a scholastic approach to how she's kind of like figured out how to break the music down, whereas my approach to the understanding of the things she's talking about come from like pure trial and error and not from a scholastic approach, because if my English teachers could see what I understand now through the music that is especially English or like writing based, they would fucking be livid, because I used to be shit at English class. But now I understand a lot of the terms and everything that she's saying, because I've had to learn and hone those skills to be able to make better songs. So as I'm listening to this, I'm just like, that's the proper way to say that. I would have never said it that way, but okay, cool.
In this mixtape, the verse construction is his main tool for conveying emotion and intensity. Short phrases constantly clipping each other, syllables violently trading spaces, rhyme schemes running a mile a minute. He's not really bothering to create extended imagery or long figurative. The message, the emotion, it's in the sound. He also plays around with the pacing. This powerful, overstuffed writing will suddenly stop and break into real, solid realizations, these theses within his music. While the words themselves aren't reading the moments to us like a book, we can hear when the speaker realizes he's had enough just through the pace of the words. I wonder if at some point Namjoon was like, holy fuck, I have an entire generation of 18, 19, 20-somethings listening to me, and they're terrified, and they don't know what to do or how to feel, and they're looking at me for guidance. He writes like the entire planet is listening to him, and he's not using idol to mean pop star, he's using it to mean role model. Namjoon, really all of BTS, is very open about his ideas of youth and that it doesn't end once you turn the age of majority. You continue to stay young and scared and confused way beyond your school days. I think that disorientation, the fight for identity, colors most of his first mixtape. Sound is his primary weapon for carving out a voice for himself. Mono sees a switch from form to style. Instead of playing word games with the audience or creating sonic messages.
What video is this? I feel like I've missed it, but I would like to know because I have a friend that does art that I would love for them to flip something like that for me. That would be a hard video.
Through verse construction, his sensory descriptions build on each other and the sound shares a spotlight with literary content.
하루 종일 비가 왔으면 좋겠어. 누가 나 대신에 좀 울어줬으면 해서. Yeah, 종일 비가 왔으면 좋겠어. 그럼 사람들이 날 쳐다보질 않았어. Yeah.
In his first mixtape, everything he wanted to say, he said it raw and in your face and outright. His second mixtape has a lot more subtext in the lyrics, places where these themes of shame and self-hatred and loneliness are indirectly characterized by imagery, confessions, and scenes. This helps establish Mono's tone as a more indie-inspired mixtape compared to the raw hip-hop influence of the first mixtape.
우산이 슬픈 얼굴 가려주니까 빗속에선 사람들도 저마다 바쁘니까 좀만 느리게 숨 쉴래 평소에 내 삶도 내 랩도 너무 빠르니까.
Not everything is set out right, but we're given all the wants, fears, and observations that create this speaker's mentality, hating yourself but wanting so badly to be loved. It's a completely different writing style than what we saw in the first mixtape. Instead of a litany of grand questions, Mono buckles down and dives into one experience, one struggle, one moment. Here's how I feel, and I don't want to ask any more questions. I just want someone to cry for me.
비가 오면 조금은 나 친구가 있다는 기분이 들어 자꾸 내 창문들을 두드려 잘 지내냐면서 안부를 물어 And I answer 난 여전히 삶의 인질 죽지 못해 살진 않지만 뭔가에 묶여있지.
Forever Rain resembles stream of consciousness writing. Stream of consciousness is a narrative method that replicates a person's direct thought process. So the words are written as if there's no barrier or filter between the brain and the writing.
제발 아무것도 묻지 마 그냥 영원히 내려줘 네가 내리면 외롭지 않아 너라도 내 곁에 있어줘 잿빛 세상에서 살고 싶어 영원 따위 없는 걸 알고 있어.
He'll admit what he wants and then he'll deny it to himself. He begs the rain to pour on forever, and then he admits that he knows there's no forever. The lyrics run on streams of thought that contradict each other or reject each other or confuse each other, but it makes sense to the audience because we understand the writing is meant to sound like thought. Repeating things to the point of numbness, trying to force yourself to believe what you want to live by. Whether or not he intended it, the stream of consciousness writing in Mono makes a good reflection on cognitive distortion.
Why do I feel lonely? Oh yeah.
You can tell yourself over and over and over what you deserve, but it can still be really hard to feel that it's real, that it's true, because everything is tinted the same. So instead it becomes repetition. I know how I'm supposed to feel. I know what the right thing to feel is. Why do I still feel awful?
I wonder how many times she's actually listened to these records, because the way that she's contextualizing the music to then be able to like present points that I've only heard some of these songs probably one time, and some of the points I made are very close to what she's saying, but then also the detail in the points that she's making is just like, God damn, how much is she really paying attention? And when I say really, it's like I'm seeing the attention to detail being paid, because I'm like, she really understands the themes of these songs in ways that I'm just like, in my casual one-time listening, I hope I got that close to understanding. But she seems to have been listening to these records hours upon hours to then sit down and write a script currently that I'm just like, she's not wrong. She's doing a great job, and I am learning some stuff, but some of these things I'm just like, I kind of already kind of understood because I'm an artist myself, or I just understood the song that was being made. But to hear them being, I guess, articulated in a way that not only I can understand, but like a wider audience can understand, I feel like, again, makes the music more approachable, especially it being in a language that is not like my native tongue, or most, not most. Well, I guess, yeah, it would have to be at most at this point, because like there's only so many people in Korea, but like they have a global fan base. So most of the people now listening to the Mono mixtape or any of the projects from RM as a solo artist, like most of us aren't going to be Korean speakers. So to be able to have those songs kind of explained to you in this way, and then if you have these type of like feelings, like it just, I guess it makes it easier to like go and get into the music, I feel.
He switches up his style to suit the theme and message of the mixtape. The first one was aggression and speed and sound. Who are you? Who am I? What do I want? But the second one goes, oh, I know who I am, but I don't like who I am. I don't like what I've done. I want to be loved, but I don't think I'm liked. I want to be seen, but I don't want to be looked at. The first message needs form to succeed. The second one needs style. Namjoon is skilled in both, so he can switch to fit the theme. Fun fact, RM talked about how in his first mixtape, the song Joke is meant to have its own stream of consciousness writing. I think between Joke and Mono, his ability to replicate that style has only gotten more nuanced. Mono continues RM's use of free-flowing, unfiltered lyrics as a reflection of honesty. Mono isn't totally...
I would say also that the more that you write and the more songs that you continue to kind of get under your belt, the easier it is for you to kind of pick these individual lanes where you are able to stay kind of like in a free form kind of like thinking process when you're writing your lyrics, but you also kind of just, you're not like shackled by like, I hope somebody likes this. You're more like, I got some shit to say, and this is how I'm going to say it. And then the more songs you write, like she says, the style comes in, but the style only comes from like trial and error of where I've tried to make this many songs, and you might not have heard all the songs I've made, but in making all these songs, I now am able to know stylistically what is going to be the best choices to make to help get, to use the terms that she's using in this video so we kind of stay on the same page, to get the form across. Because I know stylistically, if I depart too far from this with the music choices that we've made in the production, the form I'm trying to present and the concept I'm trying to bring to you isn't going to work. It'd be like if I was going to make a Taylor Swift record, but I decided to rap on it like Migos. The style does not support the form, so now the song falls apart. But I know this because I've made enough songs to know that that's not allowed, because it just won't work. And I feel like with his first mixtape, I'm trying to figure out style and form together, but by the time he gets to Mono or the second mixtape, it's like I have enough style, but I'm now polishing the form. But the polished form means that you must get comfortable with your darker sides of yourself. So now after that, I feel like that's why he was so, at least when I come into the journey, because I had to go backwards. What is it, Wildflower? Why I was so awestruck by what he was doing on Wildflower is because the music that he was able to put together shouldn't work back to back to back, because I don't think there's any comparable styles or genres of songs. They're all just different. But he knew how to make all of them work. And this is why I feel like what she's explaining in a roundabout way to myself is why that project worked so well, is because he was able to understand that, like, yo, I could do all of these things if I do them this way. And now I can now put whatever messaging I want wherever I want because I'm comfortable providing message. But now I have the style to make you want to listen. And that's why I'm like, they snubbed that nigga. He should have got a Grammy for Wildflower because that motherfucker's a banger of an album. Like, there's too many good tunes. But I think that's what she's covering.
Totally ignoring form either. I like the little repeated syllables, like the catchy switch between bummy and bulmy, and the little link between these A, B, B, A syllables, this suggestion that change is a form of pain. Namjoon is skilled at symmetry even when the syllables aren't the focus of the line.
I know I just keep chatting, but I have to say this because I've interviewed enough artists at this point that a lot of what she's explaining to us also is something that you get in an academic approach to breaking down people's music. But sometimes the artist is not actively thinking about these things. They've just done it enough that it naturally comes out of them. Because the first time that I ran into an artist that I'm like, yo, I've been listening to this motherfucker's shit for a long time. I know exactly what he meant on this bar. I knew what he was trying to do in this moment. And then I'm sitting with the artist and I'm asking him, so like, yo, you meant this on this line and da-da-da-da-da. And this is how this lined up. And he just was like, Jern, I hate to tell you, but like, it's just running my fucking mouth. Like, it just happened that way. I didn't actively put any thought into it. And as a music fan that always feels like they're 12 when they're listening to music sometimes, I'm like, there's no like fakeness to this, or there's like, there has to be an active thought by the artist. But sometimes your art just free flows so well that you can make these examples when you try and digest them or break them down, but they're not always active choices. And I would like to put that forth because I would like you guys to understand that sometimes people are just painting with the brushes they know how to paint with, and they make beautiful art, but they're not trying to do specifically this. Just as an example. Now, could he be? Sure. But just, I always would like to remind you, keep a space for, that was just their expression, and their expression naturally is just that beautiful. There was no active, this needs to do this, to have these syllables rhyme with this, to end up here. Even though this person is known for that, not always are they actively doing it. It's just how that shit comes off from them.
Fine.
This is a banger.
His writing is usually so cerebral that when it breaks down into these emotional moments, he can really push the listener into catharsis. I think, at the end of the day, that's what Namjoon does best. Catharsis.
Yeah.
Yoongi is a character writer. I will say this until I die, he is a character writer. Everything he does with sound, description, metaphor, modal, it's all about character. I do think there are some pretty key differences between his writing as Suga and his solo writing, and even differences between the two August D mixtapes, with the understanding that these are all writing styles of Min Yoongi.
Also, that just, what she just said, that last little bit, just strengthens her point of, he's a character writer. Every person I'm writing for is going to be different because I'm writing for different characters. Yoongi is not the same person as Suga, is not the same person as August D, is not the same person as Suga of BTS. They are all different characters or different modal persons that need to have somebody speak, and they speak through me. And he's very good at creating that distinct nature, because Suga could feature on his own song 3 different ways, and most artists aren't able to do that because they don't know the character of the artist or the song that they're trying to make. So I would have to agree with her point here.
I say that he is a strong character writer. I don't mean to say that his life experiences and the emotions that he writes from are fictional. What I mean is that strong character writers can embody very different personalities, dialects, motivations, and emotions in their speakers. Character writing is really strong in any kind of music that acts as a form of oral storytelling, such as folk music and, of course, rap. As a writer, Yoongi is so flexible and versatile that he can present different speakers that have their own rhythms and patterns, but also their own stories and desires and fears. A great example of this is in outro Her.
난 절대 가면을 벗지 못해 이 가면 속에 난 네가 아는 그가 내게 오늘도 make up to wake up and dress up to mask on 당신이 사랑하는 내가 되기 위해 당신이 사랑하는 걔가 되기 위해서 그 좋아하던 너 끊었지 그저 당신을 위해서 싫어하는 옷도 과도한 메이크업도 당신의 웃음과 행복이고 내 행복의 척도 이런 내가 당신의 사랑받을 자격이 있을까 언제나 당신의 최고가 되기 위해 노력을 해 이런 모습은 몰랐음에.
As Suga, his speakers often write from the subtext, and Yoongi is really deft at indirect characterization. The text is all about the little things he does to keep up his disguise as the perfect boyfriend, or as I wrote in my script, pobby friend, whatever that is. But the subtext reveals how deeply wrong their relationship has become and the dark mentality he's been forced into to cope with this relationship. Suga's speakers are often incredibly vulnerable, and he focuses on moments of realization, distress, and helplessness in his writing.
위태로워 보이는 낙엽은 우리를 보는 것 같아서 손이 닿으면 다숨에라도 바스라질 것만 같아서 그저 바라만 받지 가을의 바람과 같이 어느새 차가워진 말투와 표정 관계를 시들어만 가는 게 보여.
We're dropped into the narrator's headspace, the sights and sounds of autumn leaves. Suga lets the emotions from the imagery form the larger metaphor about dying relationships. Like Jihyo, Suga is a great subtextual writer, and his writing often focuses on the speaker's behaviors, memories, and psychologies.
사소한 말다툼의 시작이었을까 내가 너보다 무거워졌었던 순간 애초에 평행은 존재한 적이 없게도 욕심내서 맞추려 했을까 사랑이었고 이게 사랑이란 단어에 차츰엔 굳이 반복해야 할 필요 있을까 서로 지쳤고 같은 카드를 쥐고 있는 듯해 그렇다면 뭐 같은 날 24/7 매번 반복되는 매 순간 어중간 한내상 20대의 백수는 내일이 두려워 참 웃기지 어릴 때 뭐든 가능할 거라 믿었었는데 하루보다 하루를 사는 게 빠듯하단 걸.
Who's this Slow Rabbit person? I keep seeing their name pop up. Is Slow Rabbit, what's Cuzzy's name? What's Cuzzy's name? It's not gonna be that. Is the something boy? I can't remember his name right now. Supreme Boy. That's it.
His songs can casually splice references to the speaker's memories with behaviors happening right now, which is a quick and simple way to convey reactions and mentality.
그런 말들은 믿은 내가 병신이지 나 죽지 못해 살아 술이나 좀 줘봐 오늘은 취하고 싶으니 제발 말리지 마 뭐든 좋아 백수 새끼가 술 마시는 건 사치지만 취하지도 않은 버틸 수가 없어 모두가 달리는데 왜 나만 여기 있어 모두가 달리는데 왜 나만 여기 있어 모두가 달리는데 왜 나만 여기 있어.
Yoongi is a natural storyteller. The August D mixtape is centered almost entirely on anecdotes from his personal life and maps out both the motivations of Yoongi as a writer and August as a persona.
I forget how skippy that nigga flow gets sometimes. That nigga's cooking.
August D, as both a mixtape and a song, is exciting for its sound, pace, and aggression, and serves as a character introduction that separates this side of Yoongi from his BTS persona. The writing here is purely about characterization and personification. This mixtape is flooded with wordplay, cultural references, idioms and expressions, and self-reference that distinguish August's dialect from Suga's. BTS is a group, and as such needs writing that suits a group dynamic, presenting one overall message and tone with 7 smaller undertones. August's writing could probably never be published for BTS, and it's built to suit one person and one person only. The aggression and explicit language, descriptions of violence, and a pretty blatant reference to oral sex are all props and set pieces for establishing a new persona.
I'm the boy because I'm what I'm the 난 미친놈 비투위에 lunatic 내보다 홍콩을 보내는 마탕 퇴근하라지
August doesn't
I've used that one. I've used that one. Hey, that nigga's a munch. I just realized it with his tongue tech, man. That nigga a munch cut.
August doesn't exist in absence of Suga and makes multiple references to his career as an idol and his previous music. This is interesting. Yoongi has the space to easily ignore his idol career or his position in BTS and work August purely as a character project, but instead he has August personify himself more like an unchained version of Suga finally getting to speak his mind. August D, at least during debut, is a mutation of Yoongi given his own soundtrack. Yoongi is switching up his writing style to better suit this version of himself. This mixtape is almost a dark revisionist history of Suga, or one of those true story front-to-back type of things. The persona of August against the persona of Suga against the person of Yoongi. August is the uncensored, unchained version of Yoongi who gets to say everything that Suga won't, but he also exists in partner to Suga and what Suga's accomplished. August D's tone has a tiny bit of resentment about his idol status and the way he's been slandered for it, whereas Suga is that idol. And Yoongi has expressed this struggle in interviews and documentaries and lives, so of course that would be part of his own music. The August D mixtape is largely a collection of stories and character pieces about Yoongi's past, as well as his hunger for success and personal peace. While his first mixtape centers around expressing his past and fully introducing this new persona, his second mixtape sees him putting on new costumes and experimenting with different kinds of storytelling. In Digita, he combines two forms of musical storytelling, rap and pansori. He's able to personify the August of Digita as a figure stepping out of ancient legend into the modern day. While the first mixtape is a profile on who August is, what side of Yoongi he represents, and what parts of Yoongi's life he's inspired from, the second mixtape is all about hindsight. The past is no longer the main story, it's the backstory. This second mixtape is all about reflection, and using historical forms of music and storytelling in combination with his rap translates that perspective into sound. D2 does reference the first mixtape, but characterizes this August as one with new psychoses and anxieties and fueled by new motivations. Where music is a lifeblood and an unquestionable necessity for the first August, it's a birthright for this August, who wonders if he even really loves it anymore. D2 is a lot more interrogative. The first mixtape is a collection of statements, but D2 poses questions. A lot of that surety and certainty in the first mixtape is replaced with contemplation and rejection.
평가는 가지 각색 yeah, yeah. 그냥 나로 살아
Okay, let's talk about perspective, because Yoongi loves it. Very quick review. First person uses I, second person uses you. In this case, third person uses he. And then from there we have limited, where the speaker is limited to what he can see, hear, or experience, and omniscient, where the speaker has unlimited knowledge like a god. In his solo music, you refers more to a group you, anyone who doubted him, anyone listening, the anonymous you, the nebulous you as in haters, you as in big companies, you as in the enemy. I'm sure Yoongi had specific names when he wrote these mixtapes, but these yous are not named and characterized the way August is. They're deliberately washed together, this insignificant mass of people beneath August. They have no accomplishments or personalities to set them apart. Other characters are props for characterizing August. This second person is used to add more dimension to the first person. Over time, Suga's writing plays with perspective when it comes to discussing himself. Suga will switch between the first, second, and third person to discuss himself in different ways, whether sympathetic, judgmental, or condemning. There's a really interesting exchange of perspectives in his solo interlude Shadow off the 7 album. In Shadow, the first person perspective represents his external self. This first person external self is gradually corrupted by an internal shadow who uses the second person. This difference leads to an intense argument between the two selves over which one is the real Suga and which one is the facade.
Oi, you what's it called? You updated on a gas song in that.
No, but I heard.
No. I'm talking about your 10.
No.
So make sure you reach out to him today, because you got 2 days to what's it called, to just make sure. No. I'm just what I told you last time. Yeah, just being able to do it live. Just make sure that we confirm that.
I've done it twice. I've texted him twice. He's not messaging me back.
Oh, he's not messaging you back.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I
did. Benny's told me that, but I was asking you about for your thing. I don't give a fuck about that shit.
Yeah.
I give 2 fucks. So I smoke that nigga later. But for you, I want you to be able to get on the stage. So that's what I'm saying.
So he's not messaging back. I've texted him twice.
Yeah, well, I'd say shoot him one more today, because we have sound check at 8 on Thursday, and that's like an hour before the show. Say again.
I leave him to see the guy, man.
I know, that's what I'm just saying. I was watching this and made me think about something, so I had to tell you.
I've just up twice, but he's not got back to me.
Okay. All right, I'll chat to you more in a bit. Hold on.
In the music video, there's this implied third perspective where the audience gets separated from the speaker and gets to watch the debate happen without interference, but it's really not stated in the lyrics. Suga is using different perspectives to personify the narrator's internal conflict and illustrate a psychological concept through character play and point of view. Yoongi's writing draws out the psychologies of each speaker and uses them as scales to reflect larger themes. His writing is scathing, hilarious, and deeply empathetic, which goes to show why so many fans love his style and his voice.
All right, we'll call it there. We're gonna call this part 1 RM Suga or Yoongi, and then we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so we're gonna break the next video up into 3 parts. And then, so we'll make this 3 parts total. So the next video will be the next 3 chapters, and then the last video will be the last 2 chapters, and then we'll call it that. And then that'll get the whole video covered. But we'll call this the first part. I really like how Shorty, just to speak on what she's doing, let me make sure I'm giving her credit, because she's actually smashing it. I'm not even gonna give her one of these as well. Y'all come over here and do the same. Shout out to Mira. I don't know how to say your name properly. I apologize. However, the way that she's breaking this shit down is chef's kiss. She's doing a really good job, because some of the stuff that she's saying, especially in that last song she was using from the August D mixtape, I think it is, I've thought from more of a mental health style he was coming from it, but now that she's kind of presented it to me in this way, I'm just like, oh fuck, that is a really good way to kind of deal with one's own like internal like working systems, and not from a mental health standpoint. So I like what she's doing so far. This has been quite interesting. Shout out to the homie in the comments for telling me I should check this out. This is definitely something as a writer, enjoy to like kind of learn about how people make their music. Because if you guys play Mortal Kombat, I promise you, I'm Shang Tsung. That's the only reason I've gotten cold. All these things I'm learning about these people's music are all things that are going to get internalized into my own music. So this is why I'm like, yeah, this is dope. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for joining me. Please do hit that like, subscribe, Patreon's in the description. And I'll see you on the next one. I'm out of here.